When I first started this channel on YouTube, a number of people questioned me as to whether I really was the oldest nerd. However, nobody ever said anything about the nerd part. Hello out there, I am the oldest nerd, and in this video we're going to be talking about The Mandalorian. And it is on Disney Plus, and I haven't quite decided whether I'm going to get Disney Plus or not. It's not too expensive, but at the same time, it's one more streaming service. Do we need one more streaming service? So I'm still on the fence as far as that goes. I did watch the first episode of The Mandalorian, and it strikes me as a cross between Star Wars and Firefly and For a Few Dollars More. A movie with Clint Eastwood that was directed by Sergio Leone and made the so-called spaghetti westerns popular. It was an Italian-made western, but it became kind of the genre that became the modern movie western. And the various ones, A Fistful of Dollars, For a Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and some other things Leone did. Morricone was the person that did the soundtrack to it, which had the cool music. At any rate, it reminds me very much of a Western, just kind of a Western in space. Instead of Clint Eastwood, you have the Mandalorian who, instead of being the man with no name, he is the man with no face. He keeps the helmet on all the time. And they even joke about it in the course of the dialogue, don't you ever take your helmet off? And he doesn't, at least in the first episode. And we find that he is a bounty hunter. He hates droids. He is very charitable, especially to orphans, because he was one himself. So we learn a little bit about him. There are a dozen Easter eggs or so, best in the parsec. In Star Wars A New Hope, they called parsec a unit of time. In this, they seem to think of parsec as an area. They have some other Easter eggs for Star Wars. There is when the little laughing thing that was on Jabba the Hutt was roasting on a spit with others in a cage looking very nervous about being the next one up. We also see droids, an R2 droid, an R4 droid, and one of these little box droids you first saw on the Death Star that went blonk, blonk. And they made Carbonite. He would take his catches from his bounty and carbonite and have them delivered that way. And they mention also that this is after the fall of the Empire, so you have kind of an idea of when this goes on. They also show a new beast, the Blurg, which looks like a fish who was a dinosaur with 2 feet that runs along, and he's ridden like a horse. And so the Mandalorian would rather have a speeder, but rides along on the Blurg and does pretty good, just like a bounty hunter cowboy would do. And so the way I see this very much is, if you want Star Wars the spaghetti western, this is the show for you. I have watched westerns through much of my life, and early television westerns were very popular because it did not take much dialogue. You just introduced the character, you had them shoot people, and then you had your 30 minutes done with. And later on, they were the first shows that were in color. The Virginian, which this reminds me of, they called him the Virginian. He didn't have a name either. Was watched by many people because it was just the only show on in color for a long time, the only regular show that was on in color. When we first got our first color television in 1966, we got it to watch the World Series, but the only regular show on that was in color at that time was The Virginian. And we didn't care much about The Virginian, but it was in color, so we watched it, and it had the beautiful countryside and things like this. And so what this show is about is showing a lot of atmosphere, because they can't afford the same special effects that they have in the movies. They can't afford the same action and cast of thousands that they have. And so this is a very personal type of show around the Mandalorian and the people that he encounters. And we no doubt will learn more about him. So, like I said, if this is something that you like, if you like the idea of a space western, a Star Wars in the Old West kind of thing, this is the one for you. I don't know whether it's caught me or not. I may watch another episode. I may see if I want to keep Disney Plus for a month and then cancel it, or if I want to cancel it by the time the free trial is over. I'm not certain about this. But I'd like you to try it out. It's worth a 7-day free trial on Disney Plus, and take a look at the first episode or two, and then let me know in the comments what you think about it. I'd like to know. So, while we're here, if you're still along with us, we have been noticing that there have been some changes coming up in YouTube, and you may want to know what I think about it, or maybe you don't. But there are a lot of people that are very worried about the fact that the Federal Trade Commission is going to cause a lot of creators to have to leave YouTube because they're not going to allow monetized videos of videos that are aimed at children. Now, none of ours are. I would consider, as the oldest nerd, that I would not encourage children to watch this video. I don't use any language that would be objectionable. I don't say anything that is terribly upsetting for children, I would think. But I kind of look toward my own experience of years ago that probably would not appeal to children very much. So I'm not too worried about them coming after me. I did change the title on one video from toys to collectibles, which is really what they were, and eliminated one. I deleted one that was talking about cartoons. So we are probably going to be okay as far as the FTC is concerned. So we plan to be around here for a little while. I hope you'll be around for a little while as well. In the meantime, don't go far.